I had this paragraph of introduction for Todd that he told me 30 minutes ago, don't do that. So he said do something personal, and he didn't realize what he was opening himself up for. But John and I got a chance to go to lunch with he and his wife, Julie, and he shared something personal, and it really showed to me how intelligent he is and how astute he is. Because we were talking about it, and he mentioned that he went to school for Southwestern. So I'm like, well, let's not tell anybody that. We didn't know that on your bio. He says, but I left that for a semester. That's the important piece. Truthfully, I think you're going to be very delighted to hear Todd Huston. He's got an amazing story, and he's going to cue up a video here in a minute. But just sit back, relax, and expect to be entertained. Please give a warm round of welcome to Todd Huston.
That's our favorite track. Lovely soundtrack.
So they finally get me to the emergency room, and I died. They resuscitated me, got me in the operating room, and I died again. So I died twice that day.
The world has its share of incredible mountain ranges, each with its share of high-profile peaks. Many people dream of reaching such elevations, but only few are bold enough to do so. This is the story of one man who broke world records. The man who set a world record by climbing to the highest elevations in every American state in a little less than 67 days. This world record holder has been featured in thousands of publications and televised programs across the world, achieving various global recognition as well as being awarded with several distinguished honors. Regarded as an inspirational speaker, his journey reflects both strength and ambition. However, it isn't only his achievements that have become the main source of motivation. It is more about how he managed to overcome the obstacles that stood in his way.
I know some people may consider this somewhat remarkable, but it really all started when my life changed when I was 14 years old. It was a beautiful day, and I had no idea what was about ready to happen. I'm sure everybody has had an experience where everything has just been going along great in life, and then all of a sudden, something happened. And my legs got sucked into the propeller. And that's when my life changed forever. It's been a long time since that accident when I was 14 years old. I overcome a lot of challenges, and I've been able to reach the impossible. And that's what I'm talking to you about today. I want to help you be able to reach your goals, overcome your obstacles, and achieve those dreams that you have in life. That's why I came to this event, is to talk to you and you.
All right, there's the intro. Hey, you guys hear me okay? Yep. All right, well, the news of this speaking for about an hour, hour and a half.
Okay.
John told me I got 20 minutes. So it just so happens that when I found out about this, I just also got a call from TED, for TEDx, TED speakers, TED Talks, and they wanted me to speak for 18 minutes. So anyhow, it's interesting how it all comes together at once. And I hope you will find this talk a blessing to you. But let's get started. And I also want to say thank you for not only being here, but for everything that you have done for Northwestern. And of course, when you're doing something for Northwestern, you're doing something for not only the students, but then it goes out to the rest of the world. So, what happened to you? Today, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to tell you a mountain climbing story. That's what you think you're going to get. But what you're going to get is a love story. You guys like love stories? All the women are going, yes, and all the guys are going, what are we doing here? Okay, so this is my love story. Now, I was 14 years old is when it started, and I was out on the lake with my friends and family, because you know what a hot Oklahoma summer is like, right? And you don't want to actually, spend it outside unless you are out there in the lake and doing something fun. And that's what I was doing. And I was back behind the boat, and I looked up, and it started coming back towards me. And I screamed, "Hey, stop the boat!" But nobody could hear me. They're laughing and having a good time. The sound of the engines drowning my voice out. And the next thing I knew, wham, I was hit. And both of my legs started getting sucked into the propellers. Well, my dad reaches down and pulls me out of the water, and it was a mess. I could see all the way down to the bone in my thighs. And I'm screaming, "Why? Why me?" Because isn't that what we do when something tragic happens to us or somebody we care about? Well, they rushed me to the hospital. I finally get there, and I died. Twice. And they told my parents that if I survived, I would probably never walk again. Well, it took a lot of people to save my life that day. And it took even more to get me back eventually on my feet. And now I realize that love is like a village. We come together during times of disasters, like we've seen the hurricanes and the floods lately. Of course, in Oklahoma, it'd be tornadoes, and now earthquakes. But wouldn't it be wonderful if we could come together in love every day for everyone? Because love unites us all. And it's interesting, the people that are sitting in this room, we talk about charity. What is charity? Charity is love. And what you're giving, more importantly than anything else you're giving, is you're giving love to others. You're giving opportunity to others. You're giving the opportunity for greatness. Well, finally let me out of the hospital. And thank you. Oh, gee. You kind of wonder whatever happened to my good looks, don't you? Here I am in the hospital. I'm not getting my sugar. There we go. So they finally let me out of the hospital, and when they did, I had this big metal brace on me because my leg had been paralyzed. Have you ever seen the movie Forrest Gump, where it's wearing that heavy brace? That's what I had to wear. And if you're ever watching that movie, look in the hospital scene. That's me sitting right behind Tom Hanks in the movie. Well, because my leg was paralyzed, I had a lot of infection. And eventually, the doctors said, Todd, we're going to have to amputate. Well, that was pretty hard news to hear. But I can remember looking out over the water. I was up in Boston, and it was the night before my operation, and I thought, wow, I have gone through a lot of challenges in my life. Just like many of you have gone through challenges in your life. And maybe some of you are going through a challenge now. And I thought, do I want all this craziness that's out in the world that keeps hitting us? Do I want that to determine my happiness, my peace, and my joy that I experience in life? Because if I'm relying on this out here, I'm going to be riding this roller coaster up and down all my life. And I thought there has to be something stronger within. So the next day I thought, I'm going to test out my theory. They took me to the operating room and I was wide awake. Didn't even have an aspirin in me. All I had to do was numb me below the waist, and while I was talking to the doctor, he fired up the saw and amputated my leg. And that was when I realized that no matter how crazy and scary and threatening it may seem out in this world, we always have the choice to choose the power of love and the peace that it brings in any situation. Well, I told you I had my leg amputated. Which leg is it? Right? Left? Guys, we've got two choices here, okay? What are we going to go with? All right, it is my right leg, and I'll show it to you so you know I'm not making this story up. And here it is. I know you're probably thinking, that poor guy, he only has one leg. That's not true. I got about 6 or 7 of these in my closet. Well, I went on back to school. I went to grad school, became a psychotherapist in Southern California, where Lord knows they need all the psychotherapists they can get. I also got married to a really charming girl from New Zealand. She had just this amazing accent. And this is when I realized that romantic love is not the same as unconditional love. Now, we can learn unconditional love through our romantic relationships and through our family, our friends, our co-workers, and if you happen to be in Oklahoma City or Tulsa, even that guy that flips you off on the freeway, right? Because we can learn love from everybody, and we can teach love to anyone. Well, this kind of love that I'm talking about, it's been talked about by philosophers and poets for thousands of years. Just recently, scientists have really started studying it. And some of these guys I talk with and work with, and what they found is that this unconditional love that we've read about in the Bible and talked about for all these years has amazing benefits to both our physical and our psychological health. And you can take a student right here, and they can do volunteer work, and they can have the health and psychological benefits of that 50 years down the road. And yet I can take somebody who's elderly, and they could do acts of love in their community, just like many of you, I would say every one of you in this room is doing, and they can experience the health benefits of that immediately. Well, we were married for a couple of years. We got all that immigration stuff worked out. And then I came home, and she disappeared. So I kind of figured out what that marriage is probably all about. So I lost my wife. Of course, she went by the bank and got all the money on her way out. And my home, all in 1 week. You might say, it was kind of a rough week. And sometimes when people go through something like this, they hold on to this kind of emotional pain for a lifetime. But love has the power to forgive. And if you don't learn to forgive, it can be one of the heaviest burdens you could ever carry. As a mountain climber, I want to go light, I want to go fast, and I want to go high. And I can't do that if I'm carrying a whole bunch of baggage. So I have to get rid of that load. So I can reach the heights that I'm trying to go to. If you want to reach the heights that you want to, unforgiveness is one of the heaviest loads you could ever carry. And you've just got to learn to let it go. And the sooner you let it go, the happier and the healthier you're going to be. Well, I went back to my work. I had this letter on my desk, and it said, "Dear Mr. Huston, we're looking for 5 disabled climbers, including a leg amputee, to climb to the highest elevations of all 50 states." And I thought, well, it's not like I'm really doing anything right now. So I applied and I was accepted to be on this climbing team. I started training immediately. I was so excited. But I couldn't run from here to these folks right in front of me without having to stop because my legs were like noodles. I hadn't ran for 16 years. But what does the Chinese proverb say? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. And I was up to running 12 miles within 3 months. Do we have any runners in here, by the way? Yeah. All right. You know what I found out about running? I hate it. Okay, you did very good. So, I kept on training harder and harder for an entire year until a month before we were supposed to leave, they called and said, "Sorry, we didn't get any sponsorship. The expedition's been canceled." As I was hanging up that phone, this little voice went off in me. And that's that voice of love that's within you. You all know that voice I'm talking about. It guides you. It leads you. It wants to bring out that greatness that is lying so patiently and still within you. And it said, "Do this climb on your own." Well, I didn't know how I was going to do it. But I went ahead and started organizing an expedition. I had to raise $50,000 in 30 days. I sold t-shirts. Do you know how many $12 t-shirts it takes to raise $50,000? It took one. It only took one. That's because I lived on this island down in Southern California. My friends put up this poster board where a lot of people go running. And it said, "Todd Huston, leg amputee, attempted to climb the highest elevations of all 50 states to inspire people that they could overcome their challenges with the power from within." T-shirts, $12. This guy came jogging by. He said, "I like that. Give me a call." At my office. It's 1-800-ABC-BEFG. Remember heard Doug Bonnet? He owned it. And the next day, he gave us all the money we needed to sponsor the climb, and I don't think he ever collected on one t-shirt. And I want some of you in this room to think about that story. Because you're listening to a story that was only made possible because of one person who had a heart and was willing to put their money where their mouth was. because he had it. Because not everybody does. And that changed the world. So, with my new sponsorship, I then took off on the expedition of a lifetime. So you ready to do a little mountain climbing here in Alva, Oklahoma? All right, well, let's do it. The name of the expedition was called the Southern America Expedition. The idea behind the climb was to climb to the highest elevations of all 50 states. This is something that only 32 people in the world had ever done before. A leg amputee or disabled person hadn't even been stupid enough to try. Here's the leg that I wore. Had a little shock absorber on it so I could jump up and down on it, hopefully so it wouldn't hurt my real leg. I had to drive to all the lower 48 states. I was only allowed to fly to Alaska and Hawaii. So I went to the highest point of each state. My first was the eastern states. This is the highest point in Delaware. It's actually in the middle of a street. You guys are laughing, but this was a really busy street. Highest point in Texas, Guadalupe Peak, where it got 118 degrees. Have you all been out to extreme western Texas, El Paso, that area? A lot of beautiful open range, right? Yeah, here with some of it. Now, from the eastern states, I then went to the west. The western states are much higher, much more difficult, a lot more dangerous. Some of them well over 14,000 feet. I'm having to watch out for snow and rock avalanches, afternoon thunderstorms and lightning. And of course, you could get altitude sickness because there's so little oxygen at the higher altitudes. I have to be careful for the wild animals, such as the moose, the bear, the mountain lion, and of course the occasional snake crawling on the ground. But I figured if this rattlesnake would have bit me, he would have been in for a lot bigger surprise tonight. Now here I am going up Granite Peak. That's me, the lower arrow. I had to go up wall after wall like that. And while I was climbing this mountain, I literally stepped off the trail. And I said, why am I doing this? Why am I risking my life doing something to try and inspire people and they'll never even hear about it? And then I thought, I had a goal. I had a passion. I had a dream. I felt like there was a purpose that I needed to fulfill. So I thought, okay, despite what I see and the circumstances, I'm going to go ahead and step back on this trail. And I did. A few hours later, I was up on this sounds so beautiful, froze to death plateau. All right? And some guy yells at me, "Hey, Todd!" I thought, who in the world knows me up here? And he's walking up to me, he hands me his card. And he says, look, I've heard about what you're trying to do, and if you're successful, give me a call. Well, long story short, I did. And he knew a publisher. And that publisher ended up writing the book, More Than Mountains, which was about this mountain climb. And that got me national and international television coverage, including CBS doing a story on it 10 minutes before they aired the Super Bowl in front of tens of millions of people. And now we have some ex-Disney people and others, producers, that are looking at making this story into a movie. So, you all have a path that you're on. Some of you have found it, some of you are looking for it, and some of you who did find it have sometimes thought, why am I doing this? But see, we all have something unique to offer, and we're the only ones that can bring it to this world in the way that we can do it. And if we don't do it, the world misses out. And I want to encourage you, find that path. Follow it with passion. Do it with love and stick with it. Now, here I am about 2,000 feet up, no rope. 13,000 feet up, again, no rope. Now I'm going to tell you something that you're probably going to disagree with me on, but hear me out. And that is, fear does not exist. There is no such thing as fear. Now there is danger, and you want to eliminate it or minimize it. But when I'm standing on a cliff and I'm looking down thousands of feet, I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing. And the person next to me could literally be peeing in their pants. But even though we feel differently, if my rope breaks, I go splat just like anybody else. But if I take everyone in this room and I line you up against one of these cliffs that I've been on, and you're looking down, every one of you has a different experience of fear. That's because fear is created in your head. If it were real, it'd be like danger. It'd be the same for everyone. So, I tell people, fear is nothing. Love is everything. And as our pastor friend knows, perfect love casts out all fear. So remember, when you're in that situation, to just keep laughing. What I tell people, love all, fear nothing. Well, you ever wonder if I fell while I was up there? No, let's look. Yes. I fell many, many times. But the mark for a true winner is not whether or not you fall. It's that you get back up every single time. Now, when I did fall, I used this point here, right here, and I steered my way down the mountain. And then when I was ready to stop, I'd take this edge here, take it inside the mountain, and I'd lay down on top of it. And see how quickly she's gotten over her fear. Very good. So it's not if you fall 100 times or 300 times. It is that you get back up every single time. And if you're the one standing, then you use the love that you have within you. And you lean down and you lift that other person up. Well, from the lower 48 states, I had to head to the big one, up in Alaska. This is Denali, which means the great one. It's not only the highest mountain in the United States, but the entire North American continent. It is an extremely dangerous mountain. Not only because of its altitude, but it has some of the worst weather of any mountain in the world. Minus 50-degree temperatures, 100-mile-an-hour winds. We build snow walls around our tents. We might have to stay in snow caves. I have to watch for the crevasses below me and the avalanches that could come in from above. Well, as I was climbing this, you start at 7,000 feet, go up to 14,000 feet, about here, and then you go up 2,000 feet of snow, rock, and ice. And once you get up there, it's a razor's edge. Drops off on either side, a couple of thousand feet. You don't even have a place to really walk. And you definitely don't camp here. What you do is you go on up to 17,000. There's a big flat area, and that's where you camp, at high camp. But as I was going up to 17,000, that little voice went off in me again. And that voice is not only there to comfort you, but it's also there to protect you. And now I realize you can listen to this voice at all times. And it said, camp at 16. So we dug a hole in the side of the mountain. And that's where we set our tent. Later on that evening, this huge storm came off the Bering Sea. And when it hit the 17,000-foot camp, it was brutal. It was shredding their camp. So anytime there was a little break in the storm, they had to gather all their stuff and get off the mountain and maybe come back another year. But since we were a little lower on the mountain at a slightly different angle, we were able to wait out the 3 days of blizzard and whiteout conditions. And then once it cleared, now the lower part of this is called the football field. From here on up, it's called Pig Hill, and then you traverse across to the summit. Now I had climbers who had 2 good legs that were coming down, saying that they did not make it to the top. It was too difficult. And then I had a couple of body bags drug in front of me from climbers that they had found frozen. So this mountain could get anybody. I was having to take 3 breaths just to take 1 step. And every time I did take a step, it was like somebody was taking a climbing axe and just jamming it into my knees. But I kept doing it step after step until eventually I hit the top of North America on a beautiful, clear day at 20,310 feet. So, I did become the first disabled person to climb to the highest elevations of all 50 states. The world record was 101 days. Instead of doing it in 101 days, I did it in 66 days, 22 hours, and 47 minutes, thereby shattering the 2-legged world record by over 35 days, becoming the first and only disabled person to break an able-bodied world record in sports. I had found my why. That's when they pulled me in from that boat. And I don't know what your why for your life is, or what your whys might be for the challenges that you go through in life. But I can tell you when you will know your answer. And that is when it not only blesses you, but that answer also blesses others. So what is my next mountain climb? My next mountain is to create a global movement for unconditional love. And through my organization, Love the Power, we are actually attempting to get 1% of the population of every single nation to sign up, and we will supply them with the materials and the information so that they can learn, teach, and practice living unconditional love, with the hope that someday we will be able to create a tipping point of love on this planet. Because see, love is a choice. You can choose destructive thoughts, or you can choose loving thoughts. You can choose hateful words, or you can choose loving words. Or you can choose hurtful actions or loving actions. But every day, you have the opportunity, through every situation you go through and every person you meet, to think the most loving thoughts, to say the most loving words, and to do the most loving actions. You are a powerful being of love. And I know that you are in here because your acts of kindness toward this organization already shows that. And you have this power within you to not only change your life, but as you are doing it here, to change the world. And imagine if we had a world where corporations and governments and others were making their decisions based on unconditional, agape type love. But before we can do that, we must first learn to live this type of love in our own individual lives. Because in the end, it's not going to be technology, it's not going to be politics, it's not going to be economics that saves this world. Love is what's going to save this world. Well, some people say that might be impossible. Obviously, I don't believe in impossible. And that It's my love story of how I learned unconditional, unlimited love. What is your love story? God bless. I'll see you at the top. Thank you.
Since you only spent a semester at Southwestern, you know you're probably going to get a chance to wear that.
Oh, all right, awesome. Let's hold this up. All right, here we go.
Thanks for your message, very inspirational.
Questions or?
Oh, yeah, stand here.
Okay.
Anybody got questions for Todd? Are you kidding me?
Shy. It always takes us that one and first one.
Here it is,
How
Linda.
many people went with your group?
How many people? Okay, my mic on. How many people went with me on my group? Always had at least one. But there were times when we had kids that were going with us, like when I did the High Point of Oklahoma, which is Black Mesa. Right. So I hiked up Black Mesa, right? And I've done all these, other eastern states, and I'm thinking, you know what, Todd? You are just a mountain climbing stud. That's just all there is to it. And I get to the little pinnacle thing, and there's a group of 4th and 5th graders waiting for me. So anyhow, we ended up having a talk, and then I climbed down with them, and they'd gone a shorter route. It was a little steeper, and the school teacher fell. So we had to pick her up, put her on our shoulders, and carry her the rest of the way down the cliff because she shattered her ankle. Yeah. And that's also a place where I've seen rattlesnakes, like that close. Yeah, just watch it if you're out there. Okay? So and other times I had world-class climbers, including the guy that had the current world record. Yes, ma'am?
I was just wondering where we could get a copy of the book or the book.
Okay, she has some copies here, and then if we sell out, then just give us your information, and then we'll mail it to you. Okay. Anyone else? I didn't think this was a shy crowd. Yes.
So when you're laying there in the hospital and you're in that race or whatever, what was your first thought realizing what had happened to you? I mean, like, were you just saying, what am I going to do? Is this hopeless?
All right. So what did I think when I was first teaching when I was 14 years old? I think the biggest disappointment was I saw that I wouldn't be playing football anymore, and it took me a while to figure that out. My leg was paralyzed immediately when the boat propeller hit it, because it took out about 6 inches of my sciatic nerve. And so I had all my friends and family up there, and that kind of support was wonderful. I enjoyed that, but it was disappointing in the sense that my life had now changed forever. And I did not know what that meant. Because you know how you go through something really traumatic, your life will never be the same. And at that age, I didn't even know what that meant.
So have you skied since then?
Have I skied since then? Yes, I have skied since then. Actually, I think I skied behind that boat. I just kind of got bored of it, I guess. Yeah. So, but I had to ski with one leg. So, it's always funny when people go, did you have to swallow or something like that? It's the only thing I could do with one leg. So I have to, so I've had to adjust some things in my life, obviously. Anyway, okay? Yes?
Where's your favorite place, your favorite highest peak?
All right, where's my favorite highest peak? Okay, so you have to think about what that means. The one that I felt was the greatest accomplishment was Denali, which is the one that was over 20,000 feet. Remember, that's near the poles. So that's actually more like a 23,000 foot, 24,000 foot mountain around Everest, because the equator of the air is there. As far as the most beautiful would have been Gannett Peak in Wyoming. It's just, if you ever get a chance, it's an easy hike in until you really start going into, the highest point. Because there are a lot of cliffs and stuff, but it is just absolutely beautiful. Yeah, anyway. Okay.
I have one.
Yes?
So, you were talking about when you fell,
Yes?
and did you have your leg tethered? Or
Okay,
did you have
great
loose?
question. Okay, so he's asking, when I'm climbing on a cliff, did I have my leg tethered? Well, I usually had, some climbing pants on or something where I didn't have to worry about that kind of thing. However, have you ever heard of Devil's Tower? You've seen the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind? Okay, so I was climbing that a few years back, and I'm several hundred feet up, and I hear a click. And I look down, and my leg is literally tumbling down the cliff, right? And I had to rappel down with one leg, and put my leg back on, and then climb back up. And what I learned was this idea of tethering. So I took a little piece of climbing rope thing that we have, and I just tied it to my leg and tied it to my climbing harness. And the next time it clicked, it only went about that far. It couldn't even fall off my leg. So, lesson learned, kind of a hard way. But yeah, I have seen my leg falling down the cliff, and it really kind of freaks out other climbers. All right. Anybody else? Okay, well, I'll be here later if you want to come up and say hi. Thank you.